Welcome to another episode of Hidden Heritage, where we follow the breadcrumbs to discover more evidence of who were the only American Indians that inhabited the Americas, and that are still here to this day. Now, before we dive into the rabbit hole of truth, if you are new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe, comment your thoughts down below, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you'll be informed about our next upcoming episode. If you are already subscribed, welcome back to the channel, and thank you once again for your unwavering support. Please continue to like, comment, and share so more people can witness the truth. Let's dive in. Number 1. Indian Chief Osceola. Before being whitewashed, this is the best description we can find of what he looked like. Luckily, we have his words of how he described himself. So let's check it out. Alright, so before we get started, this video was mainly for anyone that needs any clarification that their ancestors or our ancestors did not refer to themselves as Indians. And we keep trying to show people that, yes, our ancestors, our Indian ancestors, referred to themselves as Indian. So, number 1, from Chief Osceola, we're going to read from the Sorrows of the Seminoles. And I quote, he said, "Am I a Negro, a slave? My skin is dark, but not black. I am an Indian, a Seminole. The white man shall not make me black." All right, so let's back up for a little bit. All right, so the reason we mentioned that he was whitewashed later on, because you cannot find a depiction of Chief Osceola better or darker than the one we just showed you earlier. And this proof that he was an Indian, right, I am an Indian, is because there are only one group of people in the Americas, as far as phenotype-wise, that were referred to as a Negro. Only one group in the Americas, phenotype-wise, that were referred to as a slave. Again, one more time. One group in the Americas that are referred to phenotype-wise as black. All right? But obviously, those people who are reclassified and paper genocided, right, to Negro or slave or black, all came from one word, Indian. All right? Okay? Before we go on to the second historical figure that called themselves Indian, that looked like us, we want to bring up this truth that the American Indian, the Amerindian, or the Indian all have or have had these things under the correct identity. The entitlements, protections, full benefits, titles, patents, reparations, property, real estate, estates or plantations, schools or education, housing, territory, employment, rights, sovereignty, and land. The argument is that Europeans came and gave us that identity, is why some of us are running away from it. Now, why would a conquering force give us this identity, which is entitled to all of this you see before you, but then reclassify us from said already classified Indian? So, once we know that the identity of American Indian, or Amerindian, or Indian gives us just a snapshot of what you see here. All of a sudden, once the term paper genocide came into effect, or reclassification, we lose most of it. So, the identity is not considered a misnomer. It is our correct identity. We're going to leave some videos at the end, so you can also see what we're talking about, where it's actually written, all right, of who we are, Number 2, the advocates for the Indian Civil Rights Act, or the Indian Bill of Rights. The Civil Rights Act of 1968 were not for Native Americans. The year was 1968. The word Native Americans were highly used by then, all right, and it says nothing here. When you look up the actual bill, you will not find any mention of any Native American in that bill. The people who were involved in the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. assassination riots were not Native Americans, all right. They were Indians. They were us. So, the advocates, especially if they unfortunately pass away or at a funeral. Most of the advocates are lauded as, hey, he or she was a civil rights activist. At no point in time you would see a Native American being honored as a civil rights activist, especially in 1968, for crying out loud, right? So we have to realize who is who now, and who is who back then, because the word Native American was used back then. So, the Indians are us. Again, if you go look, we can send you 2 links to 2 videos. Ask us in the comments. We'll be able to send you 2 links of the people who were there signing the bill, the Indian Rights Bill, with the president at the time. Number 3, Chief Kokosuke or Indian Queen Kokosuke. This is a representation of what she would look like in today's world. Here she is signing as an Indian the peace treaty. We're going to put that at the end of the video as well. So, you can check out the full video of that breakdown, all right? But here she is signing her own name as an Indian. And in the peace treaty, you'll see at the end of the video, in the end screen, that they are referring to themselves as Indians as well. All right? And here she is again. Let's get the pointer. So, here she is again. Oh, let's get the pointer. Excuse me. In 1677, like we said, we're going to put that video at the end of this video as an end screen. The Articles of Peace in 1677. What we are reading from right now is the Library of Congress. And it says in 1677, following Bacon's rebellion, the Queen or Chiefess. So, the Queen of Pamunkey signed a treaty of Middle Plantation on behalf of the Chickahominy tribe. All right. So, again, we're going to leave that at the end of this video. All right. For added context of a Pamunkey tribe, here is a family of Pamunkey Indians. All right. So let's get a closer look of the Indians, all right? The Pamunkey Indians, this is what they looked like. And this is what we look like as well today. All right? We know people right now that look like this today. All right. We all know someone that look like this today. The adults, for example. And let's read. Okay. The Pamunkey Nation are one of 11 Virginia Indian tribes recognized by the Commonwealth of Virginia. The historical tribe was part of the Powhatan Paramountcy. A turn-of-the-century Powhatan family from Virginia poses for a portrait in non-Indian dress prior to World War II. Powhatans began a community in the Philadelphia-Camden area, maintaining their native identity in part through a closed network of families. They frequently intermarried with other Indians, with Nanticotes, who are Indians and Delaware, who are also Indians that look like us, and members of other tribes. Again, this is what they look like. All right, especially the adults that look like this today. I'm sure we recognize people today that look like these 3 individuals. All right, let's keep moving. All right, and number 4 and 5 is an all-inclusive with different tribes or different Indian nations fighting for their correct Indian identity. So let's read. This is also from the Library of Congress. Let's get the pointer ready. The Virginia Vital Statistics Bureau classed all non-reservation Indians as Negro. Let's stop right there. There's only one group in the Americas that were classified as Negroes, and they look like us. And it failed to see why an exception should be made for the Rappahannocks as one tribe. Therefore, in 1925, the Indian Rights Association took the Rappahannock case to insist the Rappahannocks in fighting for their recognition and rights as an Indian tribe. During the Second World War, the Pamunkeys, we just saw them, Matapanis, and the Chickahomies, and the Rappahannocks had to fight the draft board with respect to their racial identities. All right? So the Virginia Vital Statistics Bureau insisted that certain Indian us draftees, because they classed us to Negro. We're the only group that is classed to Negro in the Americas. The only people, the Indians, right, draftees, be inducted into Negro units. Finally, 3 Rappahannocks were convicted of. They stood their ground, right, convicted of violating the federal draft laws after spending time in federal prison. They stood on their Indian heritage. They were granted consensuous objector status and served out the remainder of the war working in military hospitals. In 1943, Frank Speck noted that there were approximately 25 communities of Indians left in the eastern United States that were entitled to Indian classification. Please take care of each other. We'll see you guys in the next one. Much love and adoration, American Indians. Peace.